stitch or the over stitch?
Over.
This one?
Yep.
You want to see the stitches?
Yep.
Really?
Yes.
Why is that?
Because I think it looks a little more, it's a little more decorative.
Oh, okay. The only challenge with this is once the needle goes in, I can't pull out the stitches and it leaves holes in the leather.
Well, then you have to get it right the first time.
I am going to have to get it right the first time.
Yeah. That's the challenge. That's where all the risk is.
Right. Okay.
Okie dokie.
All right then, thank you.
Anytime. Just get this right the first time. Bottles are dumb. We added oil. So that's a thing. That's a bit of a milestone, right? Putting oil back into it. It's your confession time. I forgot to put in the plug on the bottom of the pan, but it didn't all pour out. So the pump fix with that one-way check valve, it seems to be holding. So that's a sign of a fix. And this looks like it's a little over. I'll crank it over first. So I'm gonna add a battery and crank it over because the oil filter needs to be filled with oil. So we'll see how that goes. You know, with oil in it, if we add some electricity, we can start doing some preliminary testing. We're gonna put a battery in it and turn it over. Circulate some oil and see if anything sounds really clunky and chunky. Man, I hope not. What a disappointment that would be. But this little sticker right here, the battery breather tube, I talked about this. If you go in the YouTube Season Rider Wayback Machine, when I was first cleaning the exhaust, you can see that the battery overflowed and sprayed the back of one of those beautiful exhaust pipes and damaged it. You can't really see it's on the back of it. And that is the little slot where it needs to go through. And then I'll have this up into the battery box, waiting to attach. And we add the battery first thing. Always goes there. The battery. I got my drain tube ready to go. The overflow tube's wrong. It needs to go through here. So I attached the positive cable, the starter cable, tightened it down, and then I touched the negative ground cable to the terminal, and the starter kicked. So I'll have to reevaluate what I'm doing because on account of, I don't really know what I'm doing here. Not a whole lot happened. Not a whole lot that could go wrong. All right, I'm gonna do this again, only this time I'm gonna do it good, like a motorcycle mechanic. There is one blank space here where there's not a receptacle or a connection, and that would be this one here. The water remover. It's pretty dirty. Let me get these little hose down here. So the ignition is yellow and blue. Right here. Suddenly things got a little schematical. Green and red is blue and red. I'm still debating what to do with the ignition. I have this. This is a boiler. And I've had it for a number of years, and I tried to put it on and get it to work twice. And it didn't work. I'm not sure why. Hopefully it was just me. So I'm tempted to take another look at that. I'd like to put an electronic ignition in this. This is points and condensers, and it works great. But there is a thing with these though, and it's why there's kickstarts. As dependable as these charging systems were, and the starters were, you could just push the starter button and off you go. And a lot of people described it as very freeing. But this was the era, the brand new era, dependable push electric start motorcycles. Starter motor, boom, off you go. And the consumers weren't quite buying it yet, and so they came with Kickstarters also, which is cool, but you never need to use them. But if something does happen to the battery of the charging system, you can kickstart this, and with this original points and condenser ignition, it will start, but an electronic ignition, it will not. So really, the Kickstarter is just a decoration or something to use every now and then when you're parked in front of the pub when you're leaving, so you can think you look cool. I can't get them to run particularly, but that doesn't mean that they break. I haven't gotten this to work twice, and a lot is going on here, so maybe I shouldn't throw this as an X factor into the equation of all the things that could possibly go wrong with all of this. I was just going to put the electrical system together. I was going to do that and test it out, but I might as well just put it all back together correctly. So there's the brake light switch, and for that to happen, the brake pedal needs to go on, and so I'm just going to start putting it together. And assume it'll work. It'll work. I just took a minute and detailed out these foot pegs a little bit. And a Dremel right here just to remember these alignment dots, the all too important dots. And there's one right here on the Kickstarter. We didn't take that off, but there's that. There's others, and we're about to use one right here, putting on the brake pedal. Don't forget to take a minute to slather grease all over those splines. Nothing like a good slather. We got our two dots aligned, and slide the brake pedal over the splines, tap it in place. Just about good to go. There we go. Good. These bolts that clamped on anything over splines, so the rear brake lever, this brake pedal, the Kickstarter, whatever it is, make them nice and tight, really tight. No wiggle room at all left in those. This is where the rear brake light switch lives. It's mounted to the rear engine mount, actually. And so we'll get that in place, and it lines up with the brake pedal, so that's where that long spring goes. I'll make it nice and tight. It is actually an engine mount after all. This is that spring I was talking about. It hooks through the plunger on the brake light switch and then hooks to that. See that little hole down there? That is the brake pedal. And then when you push down on the brake pedal, it pulls that plunger down, activates the switch. I'm looking at this routing correctly, so this is from the brake pedal, brake switch, and I just pull down, and this coming off the harness needs to be dissolved down here because this is the brake light switch and the ignition wiring. They're all on the same circuit. All right, so we got the yellow and blue ignition wires, blue and yellow. These wiring connections will sometimes pop in just using your fingers, but they weren't in this case, and we need to really make sure that these are really pushed in correctly. Look how far in that goes. So just a pair of needle nose on each side, because when this is done, these wires, they are low and away, so you want them done right the first time. We'll get the left operator foot peg out of the way. And what I did undo, I just put back together. And it should work. And yet, it trips the starter. Well, that is weird. Is there... I hope it's something dumb. I hope I just missed something. And it's still hot. Yep. I got what I wished for. It was just me being dumb. The starter goes to the starter relay. Welcome to the Milestone Garage. My heart's a little because I'm gonna hit the starter button. There's no fuel being fed to it. Obviously, ignition switch is off. I had it on for a second. The oil light turns on, so I just want to crank it over until the oil light goes on, hopefully. And you know, even without the exhaust on it, I just want to hear it and hopefully see that happen. And not hear anything weird. Neutral light's on, that's good sign. Oh, I wanted the oil light to be on. It was on a minute ago. Finicky there. Okay, good enough. Okay, you switches off. Here it goes. wasn't cranking very long, actually. We'll do it again. The oil level didn't go down in the tank after that crank. And I think it would have, and that's one of the one-way check valves that I took apart and cleaned. That was the thing that was making the tank suck. But I did forget to put this line here into the engine. Whatever this is called. Sorry, I'm freaking out a little bit. I did some rearranging of the vent tubes, and there is an oil feed tube that needed to be connected up. You'll be down there by the sump. But even still, no oil moved out of the tank. So I would like to see that. I would like to see oil move out of the tank. I'd really like to see just the oil light go out. I'm going to give it another crank. Can't go too long because there's no oil in it. Until this oil light goes out, there's not oil circulating here, so that needs to happen. And, oh, here it goes. It sounds good. There's that. We'll figure it out. I felt like my oil pump priming way back was a little bit sketchy, so I'll have to look at that. But oil hasn't moved out of the tank and into the sump. We'll get it. Hit subscribe, please. Thanks for watching.